Welcome back to The Gravy. Now this story may be a little tricky to get your head around. The beop are a band from another dimension who transmit their songs back to us here in the 21st century. Sounds pretty bizarre, right? A band from the future? Is it even possible? We decided to get the opinion of some world-renowned experts, and our Gravy researcher held a focus group with a bunch of media-savvy teens. Our researcher began by showing the group a recent transmission from the beop.
Shoes on, shirt on, legs on, wig on, let's get kick on. Ding dong, wing wong, ning nong, ching jong, it's all gone to come. Shake, oh, shake, oh, shake, oh, shake, oh, shake, oh, shake, oh, shake, oh.
It's a little bit strange, to be honest.
I don't not believe in it, but I think it's quite a cool idea.
I
don't think it's possible. The laws of physics prevent that from actually happening.
It could be possible, I think, but it wouldn't be that strange.
So you can see our focus group is having trouble getting to grips with the idea of a band from another dimension. Let's meet Professor Matt Visser, New Zealand's leading authority on time travel, and get his opinion.
There is an interpretation of quantum physics called the many worlds interpretation that is often viewed as thinking that there are many universes in parallel, and every now and then something quantum mechanical magical happens to dump us into one universe or another. You can actually mathematically calculate what the properties would have to be if you want to build a wormhole throat that connects us to some other part of the universe. In principle, we know it can be done. If you shot up to a decent fraction of the speed of light, it'd be a very good time stretch. And since that's 3 × 10⁸ meters per second, you would have to be from an arbitrarily advanced civilization.
I reckon it's very possible how he's talking about thousands of years later, we might be advanced enough to be able to do that. Because if you think about to thousands of years ago, you know, they didn't have cell phones and stuff then.
I mean, there could be alternate dimensions or whatever, but I don't think that you can actually travel to them.
Well, it looks like there is still some scepticism within our focus group, so I'm here at FutureWorks in Wellington to see if I can connect directly with the band. I just have to flick on the trans-interdimensional interpolator and we shall have a live protoplasmo feed from the beop's dimension any second now. That should about do it.
This is Zozzy the Zoz. He plays the hairy-tailed gippet. This here is Uncle Duke. He plays the Rhythmopole 2017. I'm Sister Depp. I came down from the mountains to play the Frove. I play for the beop, the band in a time bubble.
So how did you guys end up in a time bubble?
You know, we were hanging out in our practice room and it just sort of came out of our sofa, and I don't know, it must have been there for 50 years or something.
It's like dormant or something.
Yeah.
Just wait.
So is a time bubble kind of like a time machine?
It's like this transportation unit, you know, and we can transmit from it. We just have to just push against the thin skin of the bubble and it vibrates out across multiple dimensions, you know.
Now we're able to reach audiences that we would have never in a million dimensions been able to get to.
Wow, that's really cool. You know, I caught up with John Sarthis, who's an amazing composer, and he had some really nice things to say about you and your fantastic instruments.
In 2003, I was asked to write a whole lot of music for the opening and closing ceremonies of the Olympic Games in Athens. And we kept having to abort what we were working on because we just couldn't find the right sound. And I think in retrospect that what we were really looking for was the hairy-tailed gippet. It's just, of course, we didn't know that at the time. Unlike any instrument we have in our dimension, the hairy-tailed gippet is a living creature that the musician strokes, particularly the tail, to produce a sonic response. And it's a sensual experience that the performer has with the instrument, unlike, say, the piano, which is inert, inanimate.
Is he taking the piss? I'm confused about that.
But the gippet, the way that you play it, creates a very immediate and living sensual reaction. The closest thing we have in our dimension to the frove is a theremin, in which with your hands you manipulate like a magnetic force, and you can change pitch and timbre with your hands. The frove does a similar thing, but it does it with light. And what it does is it samples light and it converts it into pitch, you know, into notes. And that light is coming out of the instrument and you manipulate it with your hands. And I think the most important advantage offered by the rhythmopole is that the drummer is able to kind of get their groove on stage and to come up to the front and interact and be an integral part of the band.
It got more plausible to the end. But the first one, it's just, it's sort of like
You can play
an animal. An animal, and he was going on about the sensual feeling between the two, and it just seems
if it's living,
too far out.
Somebody will protect whatever it comes from. Like.
Exactly.
Now, as well as sending music back in time through their time bubble, the beop have also written a book called The Beop.
It's pretty well written, really nicely described. Cracking the lock of sleeping dust woven between his lashes. It's a pretty descriptive way.
The book came out before the song, so it's a bit back to front really, but you know.
That's the time bubble.
Yeah.
Do you think people are more prepared to accept the idea of a band narrating a book?
Don't know what the thinking is, but they might be open to it. Yeah.
I know heaps of people that would probably like to read about this type of thing.
Yeah, and I reckon if you like the band, you're going to get the book.
I mean, people like new, strange things, and it could be something that they could kind of put into, you know, fashion or whatever, and kind of make something new out of it.
Pop culture, I guess it surrounds what we do, surrounds our lives with music and art and design.
I guess the transmissions, they come and go with the beop. You hear about it on the streets, but I don't think that they're from the streets. They could be from the future or from the present. I think that's what's so amazing about the beop.
Something engaging about how they dress and how they rock their get-ups. Beop could be influencing clothes like this. This one's from Denmark. It could be, I guess, a space travel protective cape. We've got stuff though from Montreal, which is pretty amazing too. Could be a bit of a ceremonial cape, this one. So we've got these Karen Walker sunglasses, and these are, I think everyone knows that Karen Walker's been influenced a bit by the beop, but she hasn't really said it. But these are different, they've got different lenses, they don't protect you from the solar flare when you're doing time travel.
Like, it sort of does seem kind of similar in some ways, but just more extreme.
More out there. Yeah.
I like the glasses.
They're cool.
And their hairs.
Yeah, their hairs, they've got some pretty intense hairstyles going on.
Can you tell me about your new transmission or song called We Are Okay?
3 words, 3 chords.
Yeah. One big pop meditation chant song. It's like, love it if so many people just sang along with it, because
3 words,
the
3
more
chords.
people sing it, in fact, we are then okay, you know.
Well, when you think about how divided the world is and how badly we need something, you know, to bring us back together, then this is possibly one of the most important musical compositions in the last 400 to 500 years.
Yeah, I like that one. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I can imagine listening to that on the beach.
Yeah, who wouldn't like this song?
I like this song.
Yeah. I think it would also be nicer with everything, you know, that horrible that is happening in the world, just to have something nice that isn't, you know, just something nice that everyone can relate to. Makes you feel okay.
Well, it's been great meeting you guys. Do you have any parting advice for us here in the 21st century?
If people can start just thinking, you know, those 3 simple words, we are okay, then they might find that we are okay.
Well, those sound like some good words to live by. That's it for this episode of The Gravy. We'll see you in the future, or maybe even the past.